Going live, you are live. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, maybe, anyway. There's always that awkward... Carry on. Oh, I promise nothing. I don't think I have. Hang on. What do I need? Yeah, properties. Don't know why that's disappeared, actually, because that should have still been there. Capture headset playback. Alright. Say some words, Caradog.
This is professional.
Okay, a little bit loud. Let's bring you down a bit. That should do it. Okay, and now I need to get that open in front of me so I have chat. I was never ready. I was at the point where I was just about to start getting ready, and then I had a DM conversation that I had to take. Everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Oh, right. We were waiting for Caradog to reposition his camera. No. However, Caradog, is your camera secure this week? Something jokes about your camera falling over.
Seems alright.
Okay. Right, however, what I was going to quickly do, that I want to do just as a curiosity, is I want to see if I can white balance you from my end. Just because things. Color correction.
Because yes, just whilst I was waiting for Graham, I did in fact actually swap one of the light bulbs in my light.
Yeah.
There, and I replaced a 3000 Kelvin one with something like a 5000 Kelvin one.
Yeah.
So it was a case of it's a minor difference. I was going to do both
That's
of
not
them.
going to help me.
I didn't have enough. I am now on rainbow. Why?
I was trying to see if I could. I was trying to see if I could white balance you. However, that was hue shift. I will try that another time.
Good lord!
Right.
Wow.
Well.
Yes.
Okay. Right. I need to go and quickly push the button on the on the coffee machine, and we will be getting started.
The button.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going
Absolutely.
to get coffee while Caradog. I'm going to put the onus on Caradog to say hello and introduce something. I don't know.
Absolutely. Good afternoon. Welcome. Indeed, as someone in chat said, this does look surprisingly like the Apollo capsule. I hadn't considered it that way, but yeah, absolutely, we could go for that, or we could go for one of those engine thrusters on the what was the rocket called? Saturn V5. No, the Saturn V. There we go. I can Roman numerals what you want
The
about.
Saturn 5.5.
Yes, exactly. Do not anything the something. Who knows? But yes. Oh dear. But yes, I think I'll start with my thing that I did this week with regards to purchasing stuff and buying 3 different sets of wireless, or what do they call them these days?
Earbuds.
True wireless earbuds. Cable-free earbuds.
True what? What's the difference between wireless and true wireless?
True wireless ones are like this. Oh, you walk off as I go to demonstrate.
Okay.
It means there is no wire. They each one is independent, as opposed to the previous ones you had where you'd have like a little module on the back, and then wires going to the actual earbuds. These ones, the battery and Bluetooth and so on is in the earbud itself. So yes,
that's fair. I thought that was going to be some kind of pseudo bollocks, but yeah, you're right. Earbuds with some small wires into a module. Yeah, there's still wires coming off of your head, so one could argue that that's not truly wireless.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a case of I bought the Sony WF-1000MX XM3, icon numbers and letters, the Orky True Wireless Buds, and the slides out the little baggie, the Cambridge Audio Melomania, as a kind of selection of true wireless earbuds.
What's your game
basically.
here? Are you in the market and you're going to keep your favourite ones or something?
In the office, we recently replaced the telephony equipment, and we're now entirely on SIP-based stuff, which means that we can do calls through the computer or through mobile phones.
Oh, neat. So you can just use whatever Bluetooth headset or whatever receiver equipment you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a case of it means that I can use any audio equipment I want as long as it will connect to a computer in some fashion. So it's a case of obviously I can swap to using Bluetooth devices with Bluetooth enabled computers or condenser microphones and headphones and all of that stuff. So it's a case that, yeah, I've now gained that flexibility. And the reason I've got these is because I wanted to test them out,
Yeah.
basically. And my preliminary findings are that the Cambridge Audio ones are good.
What was the price range across these?
The price range was from £22 up to £179.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, so yeah, okay.
So
give your first impressions then. This is going to be a 3-minute review. First impressions, price point, and what you think.
First impression of the Cambridge Audio, which came in this box,
and
is
cost.
that everything is cardboard.
Ah, that's cool. So how much were those ones?
These were £74, £75.
Okay, yeah.
£79, something in that region.
$100,
just under £80, basically. Yeah. I would say that they are the most music focused.
Yeah.
But kind of highfalutin music listener focused, if that makes sense, but not audiophile. They are not bass heavy, they are not bass rich. So it's not great for sort of metal or EDM.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's fine. No issues there. Call quality is very clear and couldn't really tell a difference between those ones and any of the other ones that I have. So on that front, it's fine. They are very deep in ear canal earbuds. So it's a case of if you quite like that fit of earbud, it's great, it's fine. It comes with 3 sizes plus a memory foam tip. So you can obviously tweak it to make it fit in your ear canals. It is very, very isolating. Because of that, which is obviously good because background noise doesn't come through. It's not good for talking, so they're not very good for my usage of being on the phone because they're so isolating.
You'd have to take them out anytime you want to talk to someone else who's at the door.
Yeah, and also the fact of it feels like you're shouting.
Yeah.
Because your voice is so loud, so much louder.
Yeah.
That's a minor issue, but actually listening to it is great. It's one of those things where I think if you apply a custom EQ to it, you'll get more out of it. You'll get you need to boost the bass on it ever so slightly. I think personally, because they're a little bit weak on the bass.
Fair enough. What was the cheap set?
The cheap set was the Orkies.
Yeah. So they were £20-something.
Yes. You can tell they're the cheap ones because it's a completely nondescript cardboard box, the same as almost all of the stuff Orky comes with. The case for it... Oh, just to show off, the important bit. That's the Cambridge Audio pill box.
Yeah.
For a better description.
Is that the USB micro one?
And they come and they look like that. And it is, unfortunately, micro USB.
Boo.
You get the Orky ones, which come in a pillbox like this. Nothing particularly special. It feels like cheap plastic. The hinge doesn't fit quite perfectly all the way around. It's a cheaper product. What do you expect? Again, micro USB.
Is the sound any good? Is the question then? Because I don't know much about wireless earbuds. However, I have been the reason why I say tell me what you think about these is The headphones that I use daily when I'm walking to and from work are an old pair of Sony Bluetooth headphones, and they're getting kind of knackered, and I'm starting to think maybe I want to buy some wireless earbuds. But I'm like, I don't want to spend £100 to £200 on them. So are there some low-cost ones that are actually any good, or are they just bad?
These ones have the most convenient ear fit. The Orkies have the most convenient ear fit.
I like that style.
Because this bit is aiming to sit in your ear hole, in the actual bit, it's the tippy of your finger size, not the little, and it's designed to sit actually just there as opposed to go into your ear canal.
Yeah. See, especially because I'm walking down
like that.
Yeah, because I'm walking down the street, I prefer stuff that sits in the ear rather than being stuffed into the ear canal. And I don't like a huge amount of isolation because I don't like that feeling of being underwater, and B, because I want to use these while I'm walking down the street, I do actually want to hear a car coming behind me.
Yeah, these ones are isolating in the sense of obviously you've got something stuck in your ears. They actually seal. So you actually get bass response, but it's certainly not something I would use if I was in a loud environment to not hit the environment. The call quality on these is the best out of all 4 pairs I've used, but only in the sense of almost being indistinguishable in quality difference. But if you were to rank them, this one would be the best. But it's virtually indistinguishable, certainly, without specifically asking the question, is this better?
But then also considering we're talking a price range where those are costing 20-something pounds versus up in the £80 area, then that's a massive achievement.
Absolutely.
If if you even have to think about it, then that means that the Orkies are fantastic bang for buck if they're actually
absolutely.
If they are considered in the same rank.
Yeah, they are very good performance for that. The sound is good as well from them. My only disappointment is the micro bead. The case feels a bit cheap, but other than that, they're really, really good. They are really good for the price. And then the Sonys come in a much more premium box, much more premium case, but it is much, much bigger. The size difference for you is ginormous. So these won't fit in that useless jean pocket.
Yeah.
However, it is much higher quality.
Yeah.
And the buds are very convenient like this. These have background noise pass-through.
Okay.
So because they've got the microphones, as they all do, but it will actually pass it through, and you can select 10 different levels of pass-through.
Fair enough. These ones were the £170-ish ones.
These ones were I think the normal price is 170. They would discount it ever so slightly to 150 right now.
Fair enough.
But yes, those Sony ones are the
you're paying.
They have the more premium case. They have the more premium box. It's the plasticized cardboard and stuff. So it's the more fancy case.
You're paying for the noise cancellation, really, aren't you?
And the noise cancellation is it's active noise cancellation, and it's pretty good. But the actual level of sort of separation you get from background noise and stuff is not that great. But it's there, so it's fine. It's not particularly great, but the thing that is good is because you get the pass through.
Yeah.
So obviously you can use them when you're walking down the street and still have that pass-through sound. And obviously if you pause something and stick it onto maximum pass-through, you can just easily have a conversation with them and it doesn't make a difference. I noted that the maximum volume pass-through made everything louder, so it effectively operated a bit like a hearing aid.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it was quite cool on that front. And everything that I had is being compared to the Huawei Buds, which are just these. The Huawei Buds were £120, I believe.
That's a middle ground,
They work with anything with Bluetooth. They're not just limited to Huawei devices. They're fine. The bass is a little bit lacking, but other than that, they're great. The bass is lacking because they don't isolate. They don't fit.
Yeah.
They don't fit and cut you off particularly well. So the isolation isn't very good, so the bass response is weak. But the actual sound quality from them is good.
Fair enough.
And the
I like
sound
the
quality
sound of the
is good.
Orky ones, quite frankly.
Yeah,
They sound like really good bang for buck. I would probably, unless also just I've been keeping half an eye on the chat here, and a couple of people brought up Raycons. I'm just like, hi Raycon, if you want to sponsor me, I will sell out. So
absolutely. My issue with Raycon is the fact that every single time I've seen them advertised, the stickers on them haven't been lined up properly. So like the sticker on the earbud has been wonky, and there's been assembly gaps. And I'm like, this is the product you're sending to someone to shill. If you can't make a decent version for the person who's shilling you, yikes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. Sometimes that'll happen.
I have no problem with kind of calling that out in the same way as these Orky ones. The case doesn't fit quite right. But it's also over £100 cheaper
than
these ones.
This is what this is why I love reviewing cheap stuff, because like when you get minor build quality issues like that, you're like, but who cares? It was like £25 for these, so who cares? Whereas when you've paid 100 and something for some earphones and the sticker isn't quite straight, you're just like, huh, okay, you know. It's like I always say, this is one of the reasons why I love a cheap steak and chips from somewhere like Weatherspoons. Because when you pay 10 quid for a steak and chips from Weatherspoons and the steak is just, you don't care because it was £10. Whereas if you go to a pub and you pay 17 quid for their steak and then you pay another 2 quid to get the heckin' black pepper sauce on it, and it's just meh, you're like, I wish I'd ordered the lasagna instead for £12.
Absolutely.
So I love cheap stuff for that reason. So when there's a product that is really cheap and someone's just like, yeah, it's not terrible, I'm like, in that case, I like it. Cheap and not terrible is a good combination of things.
Yeah. For me, sitting at a desk, not walking around, not doing anything, I would rate them as the Cambridge Audio, the Orky, the Huawei, and the Sony. The Sony is the worst one for me.
Oh,
just
really?
Because the sound was fine, nothing special.
Yeah. See, that's just it. It was fine, nothing special, and you paid 170 quid for them.
Yeah, exactly. It was fine and nothing special. However, I would probably use them more often because they're USB-C. And everything else in my life is USB-C.
Yeah, that's fair. And, I mean, that wouldn't be a deal breaker for me, but I do want stuff to go over to USB-C because we're in a chicken and egg issue. And it's a case of, yes, can everyone please just just put Type-C on everything, please? Yeah. Let's just get this over. Let's get onto USB Type-C, please, so I don't have to have 3 cables on my desk anymore.
Yeah, and it's the thing I don't understand is this came with a micro B cable in the box and it's a micro B device.
Yeah.
This came with a micro B cable in the box and is a micro B device.
Yeah.
This is a USB-C device and came with a USB-C cable in the box. So it doesn't matter whether I have the cables or not.
Yeah.
It came in the box.
Yeah. Because it's not an iPhone.
Yeah, basically. But it's just like, well, why would you not just use the sturdier, longer-lasting connector?
I think it's just because Micro B is so hilariously easy to implement, and USB Type-C. Like, I mean, if you're designing a product, you've got an electrical engineer. And you've got an electronics engineer working on your product. They will be able to figure out Type-C. Well, yeah, you do hope. But whereas with Micro B, you don't even need any kind of controller device for it. You just got to hook up the positive and negative, and bang, that's it. You're done. So I get it, but at the same time, it's just like, come on, there's got to be half a dozen really, really cheap USB Type-C power delivery control chips out there that even if they're not good, even if they're not standards compliant, they get the job done. so you at least you get the connector. I mean, and
it's not like
and
you
also
need power delivery or anything.
I was about to say,
like
and on
that
small
these.
devices like this, you don't even care. So even if it's not implemented properly and you're stuck at 500 milliamps, that doesn't matter on a pair of headphones.
Yeah, because interestingly, the Sonys don't say on their box, I don't think, what milliamp hourage the battery is. No, they don't.
Yeah.
But the Cambridge Audio ones are 0.7 of an amp hour, and the Orky ones are 0.6 of an amp hour. So even there, even if you're charging at half an amp, it's a maximum of an hour, basically.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
I'm not fussed. It's such a non-issue, even if you were stuck somehow at half an amp.
Yeah.
Even though basically everything USB-C will do an amp or 2 amps at 5 volt.
Yeah. Fair. Right. Well, with that out the way,
yes.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, and oh yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, did any of those have Qi charging on them, or wireless charging of some description?
I don't think so. I don't think any of them do. No.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That's something that would be a nice to have, but again, not a deal breaker for me. Like I've got a couple of small widgets that I have to plug in now and then. Like I don't want to call this a smartwatch because it's a fitness band. This barely qualifies as a smartwatch, but this doesn't have wireless charging. I've just got a little adapter that I clip onto the back of it and has a micro USB on it. But like I only have to plug this thing in once a week to charge it, which is why I have one of these instead of a smartwatch, because bugger charging a smartwatch every day. I don't got time for that. Whereas this requires charging once a week. It takes about an hour to charge. So literally on a Sunday, all I got to do is take it off, plug it in for an hour, and then put it back on my wrist, and I'm done. And for my usage with headphones, because I don't use them all day every day, wireless charging wouldn't be essential, because again, I'd probably only have to plug in the pod once a week or so, and then just every night I'd just put the earbuds back in it and it'd keep those topped up. So yeah.
The only thing that's annoying with all of these is the True Wireless Buds is basically it's a case of there's no way of turning off the bud. It's always on when it's out of the case. So as soon as you take it out of the case, it's on, and there's basically no way of turning them off.
Yeah.
Unless you put it back in the case. And it's just a case of that's mildly annoying to me, because obviously it's a case of if I take them out the case and put them down on a surface and leave them there for 45 minutes,
they'll run down.
They'll basically be flat by the time I go to use them again.
Yeah.
Because for some reason with the Huawei ones and with, I can't remember which other random brand I had, they would just randomly belt out at like full power. As soon as you took them out the ears, they just kind of go into full power mode and drain the batteries.
Interesting.
So I'm just like,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
Don't know. I'd have to experiment, I think. But yeah, I need to decide if I want to go back to earbuds or not, because I prefer on ear or over ear headphones, and my Sonys are on ear headphones.
Yeah, absolutely.
But those are not really very fashionable at the moment per se.
Yeah, the Sonys advertise 6 + 18 hours as their battery life, which would obviously do the majority of a week.
Yeah,
which would obviously do the majority of a week.
Yeah, and especially like mine only get 15 to 20 minutes of playback a day, because it's a 10-minute walk to work and a 10-minute walk home. So yeah, and like my Sonys, they seem to run on hopes and dreams. I charge those literally once every 3 or 4 months, maybe. Like I don't know what those Sonys they I don't know what they run on, but literally I have charged them I've owned those for years, and I think I only plug them in like every 6 months or so. They just keep working. You're like, do these need charging or something? And just I don't, they're nuts. Anyway, let me see.
Absolutely.
A couple of things I'm going to pick up. Hello, Paige in chat as well. Like Steak as well. I see you there. How's it going? Then someone, let me see, Wirecash says, "Why do I look like Scabby from Shaggy Doo, like Shaggy from Scooby Doo? Because I haven't had a haircut because we've been in lockdown, and boy, I ain't going to a barber right now. That's how you get COVID, you know. Quite frankly, I'm not saying that every COVID scare I've had nearby, everyone I know who has been either exposed or who has had contact with someone who's been exposed, it has been via a hairdresser. I ain't going to a barber right now. I'm just... So yeah. Yeah. As soon as it's all good to go, and like as soon as I like when the vaccine rolls out or whatever, I will absolutely go to a barber and I'll be like, grade 8 me all over, literally just shave it all off, and I will be like, ah. However, I ain't going to a barber right now, so that's my answer to that.
Just get a hedge trimmer.
I did actually try buying my own clippers once before. It didn't go very well. I'm not running that risk again. So, then
just the difference is now you can have someone else do it who you possibly slightly trust with such things.
Possibly. The last time I got a haircut was during just after the last lockdown, and my sister did that when I went to visit my family. Yeah.
Was that out of sheer embarrassment?
Well, a bit. They offered when I went round. I'm like, actually, yeah, sure, why not? So yeah, but
new video series, Let's Shave Stuff.
Right. Oh, hello, Spud Nugget. How's it going? Tell the chat about your SSD buying adventure. I don't know if I want to talk about it until they have actually arrived. I guess I will now. Well, last night I bought 19 1 terabyte SSDs for just under £1,200. They were Samsung 860 Evos, so the 2.5-inch ones, and they were 60 quid each. And I literally went JonTron and said, "I'll take your entire stock," and I typed in the highest number into eBay that it would allow me, and after which they were out of stock, so I clearly bought all of them. So yes, I will approximately be a reseller of SSDs at some point next week, and I will have more SSDs. Yes. As I said, I think they're going to be grey market SSDs. I've done this before when years ago I bought a load of SSDs on eBay, and when they showed up, they were legit, but they had like the box had Taiwanese on it or Chinese, I'm not sure which. So clearly someone they had been smuggled in a suitcase kind of thing, which is why they were so cheap. So yeah. Speaking of haircuts, do you know Manscaped ad was at the beginning of the stream? Oh no! How inappropriate.
Well, how appropriate.
Mm. Yeah.
Manscaped, if you want to, sponsor someone. I'll let you shave my beard.
I'd probably do that. This is the thing. Like, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I am not thinking about what is going to happen when someone actually rocks up with a product and says, "We will give you money for a sponsorship spot," kind of thing. Like, whether it's Raycon or Squarespace or whoever it is. And I am thinking, because at the moment, most of the offers I get at the moment are just from dodgy CD key websites. And I'm just like, hell no, I ain't shilling that, And I do actually find myself thinking, who is it going to be where I actually say, yes, I will sell out for that, because you're going to put probably a couple of grand in my pocket to stick your product in one of my videos. And also how much, Rage Shadow, Shadow Man here with Rage Shady Leg Ends. Any fans of the Internet Historian here? You know what I'm talking about. They were Sasa ones, so yeah.
Someone was saying, I can't remember who it was. I think it was, I was watching a Spiffing Brit video. And he said that the amount of money that Raid Shadow Legend offered him
Hmm.
was approximately equivalent to the median UK salary.
Bloody hell! I mean, that's spiffing Brit, so he would be offered big bucks. When you have when you are a big YouTuber, then yes, absolutely, you can get offers. You can get offers that are quite easily between 10 and 50 grand.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would not get offers like that. My audience is too small. But at some point, I need to. Dave Jones at EEV blog actually did a video where he showed some of the kinds of offers that he gets for his channel, and in that video, he did show the maths where you can calculate approximately what kind of value your subscriber count would translate to. And I need to go and rewatch that to remind myself, because I remember watching that video going, this is very interesting. These are actually useful numbers, because I do actually need to figure this out. So when someone does actually rock up and says, we will give you this amount of money, I actually know whether they're taking me for a ride or not. Because that's just it. Like, if Raycon called me up and said, hey, if you do a spot for Raycon, we'll give you this amount of money, I'm probably thinking, you know what, I'd do that. I'd probably go with that. Because I think what I would have to do is, it would have to be a product that I think is actually good. And the Raycons, like some people said, sort of, they're Chinese rubbish kind of thing. It's just like, well, I think for the price they are, I'm sure they're good enough. And obviously, I would probably say, okay, well, I'm going to, you guys are going to send me some, and I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to be like, you know what, those are fine. These seem reasonable for the price they cost. And everyone is used to seeing it. And likewise, if Manscaped called me up and said we want to sponsor you, I'd be like, well, yeah, sure. If you've got, I'm an electric shaver guy. I don't do wet shave. However, if you've got an electric shaver, then send me an electric shaver. I'll try it out, and if I like it, I'll shill it.
I have genuinely never found an electric shaver that actually functions properly.
I have to admit, I've got a Philly Shave jobby at the moment, and I've been disappointed with it. Because I had a cheap razor for decades. However, it was blunt as hell, and so I said to my family, I want a new razor, and I want like a proper Philly Shave one or something like that. And it's great, it's wireless, it's cordless and everything.
It's wireless.
Yeah, but
it's got Bluetooth.
It's
got
true
infrared.
wireless. It's true wireless. It doesn't, it doesn't have a cord going down to a battery box or anything. But however, but yeah, like when I use it, it's fine. But if I was one of these guys that was used to wet shaving, I'd be like, what the fuck is this noise? So yeah. Speaking of which, I need to stop f-bombing, because one of the podcasts did actually get demonetized because we swore too much. So so yes.
Oh dear.
We're not allowed to swear. We're not allowed to swear. So, but yeah, I don't know.
No.
Dollar Shave Club will be in contact. Yeah, that's the one. Dollar Shave. Yeah, Dollar Shave Club or Manscaped. But that's just
I was
it.
genuinely considering buying stuff from Dollar Shave Club just to see if it was actually remotely good as they inferred.
But yeah, this is something that I do actually want to talk to the community about as well. Is that because at the end of the day, the fact remains is that if you want YouTubing to make decent money, sponsorships will make you big bucks, and it's a case of and that's the thing. If I said that I'm not immune to selling out, then I'd be lying, but the difference is that it's got to be something that I like, and because I've noticed this with review stuff. Like the last review I did was the Aerocool Airhawk, and I hope it came across in the video, but I didn't like it. Now, because my conclusion on it was, this is what it is, this is what it does, this is what you get with it, and this is what I think of it. And I said, it does what it intends to do just fine. And I said, it's not my cup of the looks aren't my cup of tea. I don't like the wedge style design on it, and I don't like these things about it, and I think it costs too much. However, if it fits your requirements, then absolutely go out and buy one. if you need a case that has RGB fans on it and high airflow and doesn't cost millions of pounds, this is the case for you, kind of thing. So, and that's the way I spun it. I basically said, this isn't my cup of tea. However, because when I say I didn't like it, that's not to say that I thought it was a bad product. It was just the fact of I didn't like it myself. And so so the thing is, I would, and now I'm at the stage now where I think the next time I've got an offer on a review on something, I need to actually look at the product, and I need to be like, no, if I don't actually like it, I don't want to review it, because it's really hard to sell a product that you don't really like, even if it's good enough. Like, I don't know. And so it'd be the same with a sponsorship spot. Someone would have to come to me with something that I would genuinely use. And that's why I'm absolutely not interested in any of these key selling websites, because I'm just like, hell no, I wouldn't use one of those. So hell no, I'm not going to shill it for you, And so likewise, this is why I'm saying like Raycon or Dollar Shave Club or one of those guys, it'd have to be a product where I'd be like, this is a product that I would actually use myself. So therefore, yes, I'm interested in doing a sponsorship spot with you, because I can say to my audience, I have tried this product, I like it, and I use it. I think that's the stipulations, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's kind of also a case, though, that there's the difference in the review between, is this a good product?
Yeah.
And do I like this product?
Yes.
There is a huge difference between those two.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's a case of you can review a product somewhat objectively and go, this is a good product, but I despise it.
Yeah.
That is possible. It's possible to be a case of both are entirely possible.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think it's I don't know. I guess it's a practice thing as well. It's just because that's the thing. It's just at the end of the day, I haven't done a huge number of reviews, and reviews are harder than they look. It's harder than it looks to review products. I can tell you that much. It looks easy, but it's actually harder than you think.
Absolutely, and I feel it's one of those things where you sort of, certainly on a review, you'll go through the review, you'll do the review, and then go, oh, there was something else I wanted to say. And then you'll be like, oh, how do I fit that in? And then you go all the way through again, and you go, oh no, there was something else I wanted to say. And
I need to
practice. Very difficult.
Yeah, I need to practice doing good B-roll shots, because I'm not very good at taking B-roll footage. And if you've got lots of B-roll footage, then you can do all of that at the editing point. Because normally when you're editing the video, that's when you remember things or spot things that you missed while you were filming. And that's the point where I could then say, right, B-roll footage and voiceover, here's the bit that I forgot to say when I was filming,
Absolutely. I have noticed it occasionally that some of your voiceover stuff, your recording in the shop will be from over here, and then your voiceover will be about here.
Yes.
It's just like, I think you need to stop doing this when your voiceover. It's like, I get that this is voiceover, but it's suddenly a case of, oh, hello.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was this kind of product review.
I do what I can to avoid that, although come to think of it, I could probably reduce that by having the microphone, when I'm doing the voiceover, just put the microphone away from me, which will diminish the quality of it, but it will put it closer to how I sound in the shop, which is probably a good compromise.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I think it's very much a case of, oh, hold on. For the rest of the stream, we will be talking in a slow, low, sultry voice. And now we're creating entirely new kinds of content. Anyway.
There you go.
Maybe I should set up a Patreon for ASMR.
Well, see, last week you were just like, I make no content. I think this might be this might be the week that changes. Also, just a quick one.
You say that. Okay.
I was just going to say, why a cache? When the Discord only having 2 channels, you need to accept the rules, my dude. If you look at the rules at the bottom of that, there's a green tick that says, I accept the rules. When you click on that, it unlocks the Discord.
There were, at last check, on the Discord server, 415 users who had not clicked the button to view the rest of the server.
Yep.
And I was just like, oh dear.
Indeed.
Whoops.
So yeah, we've got to put that in because otherwise people will be like sort of, oh, I didn't spot the rules. It's just like you have to click the green check that says I have read the rules.
Absolutely.
And then we can say, then you cannot possibly say I didn't read the rules because I'm just like, you did because you accepted them.
Or at least
you told us you did, therefore you have the same responsibility as someone who did. But yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's see. Right. I should probably start trying to read the chat and pay attention to what people in the chat want to talk about because that's kind of what we do here, kind of, in a way.
Sometimes.
Yeah, when we feel like it. When we're not just waffling on. But the fact that
absolutely.
There's 250 of you here who are still here to hear us waffle on, so apparently there's a market for that. Let's see. Shavers for what they are, they're far too much. Probably, I'd agree with that. Let me see. Windows 10 error bthenum.sys. That sounds like a Bluetooth issue, Noel Dowds. I would check Bluetooth drivers. Or something along that. Like bthenum, that sounds Bluetooth-ish to me. Don't know about you, Caradog. Kyle Krasinski, thank you very much for the $2. How's it going, my dude? Thank you very much. Pop filter is required. Yes, absolutely. Caradog is a little bit poppy, especially when he's doing his ASMR. I don't know how bad I am. I think I'm far enough away from the microphone that it doesn't come through with me. But yes. Let's see.
Yes.
It's very much. I did read the TNC in 3.5 sessions.
It is apparently Bluetooth enumerator, which makes sense based off of the name. So indeed, I was for a short while using a just a cloth as a rudimentary pop filter.
But
I found it made me too quiet.
Yeah, I've got a foam thing on top of my microphone at home. I generally don't bother with one in the shop here because I'm usually anywhere between half a meter to a meter away from the microphone, and I'm very rarely speaking directly at the microphone, so pops generally don't come through for me anyway. Nuts in nuts. Is there any book you recommend for fixing electronics, such as laptop motherboards? No books that I'm aware of. Board repair is a bit of a dark art as far as I know, and the only people who seem to be teaching it are YouTube channels. So, I mean, I learnt it from watching Lewis Rossman, or early Lewis Rossman anyway. These days I find him a little bit inaccessible, but we've spoken about this before, but his earlier videos are a lot easier
just to jump
digest.
on that.
Yep.
If you go to, I think it's on his website, but I certainly know it's on his, oh god, what's the other video hosting website? The other one.
Vimeo.
That you pay for. Vimeo, that's it. If you go to his Vimeo, all of his videos and stuff are in playlists and so on, and it shows his old ones as well, and they're categorized by faults and things as well.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
If you've got a particular fault, you can look at playlists where it's been fixed on various different laptops.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
You can do that, I think, through his website or his forum, and also through his Vimeo.
Yeah, I do still think that's a good place to start, even if you're not fixing MacBooks, because the first thing you need to do is understand the concepts involved. Because the thing is like you'll never learn to fix. You very rarely learn to fix a particular fault on a particular board, unless it's MacBooks. But what you need to be learning is layouts, because when you like, for example, with fixing laptop motherboards, when you understand the concept that the laptop has a DC in jack that goes to an inrush limiter, that goes to a power management chip, that goes to the main power rail of the whole laptop, and then that goes to secondary rails that power the CPU, the PCH, the RAM, other things. Once you understand that power system architecture, you will start seeing that all boards are exactly the same. And so you learn on a MacBook, but then you start spotting exactly the same patterns on every other motherboard. So this is why, a lot of people, I say sort of, oh, I watch Lewis Rossman. They're like, oh, well, I'm not fixing Macs. I'm like, that doesn't matter. You need to learn the concepts of power system architecture and short detection and stuff like that. When you've got that into your head, then you start moving into the more specific stuff. So yeah, that's where to start really, is understanding the concepts. And that's why on my board repair basics playlist, the first thing I do is start demonstrating stuff on an old MacBook Logic board. Because even though that MacBook Logic board is not really relevant to modern laptops, it has the concepts in it that you need to understand of, power system architecture and the way that the board turns on and stuff like that. So yeah. And Pianov, that he's where Pianov, he's a mod in the Lewis Rossman Discord, isn't he? What does he also do? Does he have a channel as well? I know I've seen him in Lewis Rossman's Discord often, but then also you've got people like Northridge Fix and Electronics Repair School as well, and places like that. So you've basically got to binge a lot of videos. You have to put in a lot of watch hours, and that's what I did. I spent about 6 months binging videos on it, and yeah, that's what it takes basically.
And then there's also, is it iPad Rehab?
Yep, iPad Rehab. If you want to learn mobile stuff, iPad Rehab is where you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
iPad Rehab seems to be good on that. And they're also, the other thing is obviously nice to, obviously they would, but it's a case of they seem to be quite active in supporting right to repair stuff.
Yeah, they're all really big in right to repair. Yeah.
Yeah, which obviously makes sense because that's their livelihood. But at the same time, obviously, from the argument that Lewis Rossman made, this was last year, 2 years ago, he was saying about obviously if the devices get much easier to repair and Apple charges fairer prices for the repairs, he's doing himself out of work, but he doesn't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a case of he wants the reduction in e-waste. He wants the devices to be less scummy.
Yeah, and although, like he says he's doing himself out of business, but it actually comes full circle to everyone. Everyone will benefit from it, because also, like even though like Apple or the OEMs will be doing more repairs, ultimately it's still potentially going to be faster to get it done locally. Because you don't have to send it off. Or there's going to be some people who are like, no, I want to take it to a local shop because either A, they're supporting local business, or B, because they don't want to travel, or they want to take it to someone who they know and can trust because they know that there's sensitive data on the device and stuff like that. The important thing is that it gives the consumers choice. The consumer can choose what they want to do, and that's good for everyone at the end of the day.
And also, the other thing is it's a case of, to an extreme, if you didn't trust anyone, you could obviously literally stand there and watch the person do it.
Yeah.
That's far more possible in the sort of local repair shop setup than it is in posting it off to Apple or something like that. So,
or at the very least, like when now and then I'll get a customer who is just like, this laptop has sensitive information on it and I don't really want to leave it with you, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to fix it on the counter in front of you because I've got stuff to do. And what I offer there, like if you were sending it off to a repair center, they'd either be like, no, we can't work with this, or B, we'll wipe your device. Like, because that's a lot of repair centers just always say, we will erase all of your data. That's their opt out for this. They're just like, no, we just erase the data. It doesn't matter if we need to or not. We erase the data because then no one can accuse us of stealing your stuff or whatever. However, with me, because I'm local, we can parley, we can discuss, we can come to a compromise, which in my case would probably be to remove the storage device from the laptop and give it back to you, the customer, so you can say, here is your data, it is no longer contained within the device, now you can leave the device with me and have hold of your data.
And then when that magically fixes the fault, you're like, well, damn, I guess your storage device is bust. That data wasn't secure, well, was very secure anyway.
Yes, secure in a sense of no one can read it. But let's see. Let's get back to the chat as well. Vimeo's getting a lot of press. Oh, are they? I thought Vimeo. I don't know if I thought Vimeo was dying out. I'm slightly interested in. Oh damn it! I've forgotten the name of it now. Hold on a sec. Odyssey. Yep, I'm slightly interested in Odyssey. Because Odyssey.com is a YouTube alternative that is powered from LBRY, LBRY, which is one of these cryptocurrency alternative sites that quite a lot of the tech
Oh.
YouTubers have been shilling. And I've been on Library for a while because it basically doesn't cost anything, and it automatically imports every time I upload a video to YouTube, it automatically imports it to Library. So it's zero effort for me to be there. So I've been there for a while. And Odyssey is basically a new front end for that system now. So you're looking very concerned, Caradog.
Oh no, someone said I needed to be flipped, so I was looking at you. But I realised I
yeah.
was looking the wrong way. I need to go this way. So I'm looking at you. I was doing it based off of the preview.
Yeah.
But the preview seems to have suddenly got very delayed for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, chat, are we going to flip Caradog? Should we flip
No,
Caradog?
it's fine. I'll sit like this. I'll be all slanty.
Because I'm flipped, you can see the G5 is the wrong way around. But this means that I'm looking at
They're also
Caradog.
washed out.
I'm washed out? Yeah. At least I'm not yellow. Yeah, that's
There's
shut
nothing
you up.
wrong with being yellow, you racist. God.
So yeah, well, I'm
being a
honest.
Simpson.
Yeah, I like the look of Odyssey. Vimeo is quite good if you have a library of stuff to demonstrate, though. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
But yes. Got an Alienware R7, could I upgrade it to an i9 9900K? Ooh, I'm not sure. If it's
Sorry,
got
what was the question?
Alienware R7, could he upgrade it to a 9900K? Firstly, you need to check if it actually has a socketed CPU. Some laptops do, some laptops don't. So if you don't have a socketed CPU, then your upgrade is just dead in the water straight away. If you do have a
The
socketed
R7's
CPU...
a desktop, I think.
Is it?
I think so. Yes, it's a desktop.
Oh, okay, yeah.
At least according to the website.
Yeah, if it's got a if it's got a Z370, not a Z370, yeah, a Z370 or a Z390, the chances are you could BIOS update for that for a 9900K.
Want to find out any parts information?
Yeah.
Please, Dell.
Caradog has jaundice. Oh no. You have jaundice or malaria, Caradog. I'm sorry.
Apparently, they sold it with a U2 Intel Optane SSD.
A U2 Optane SSD. Why?
So,
But then Optane is stupid anyway. In consumer products, anyway.
oh, I want Optane for
Whoops.
everything though, because it's
I'll
fast.
I'll rephrase that. In all the instances that I've seen Optane in a consumer product, it has made little to no difference, and usually because the Optane drives are like 16 gigabytes maybe, and it's just like, why didn't you just put a 120 gig SSD in this, which apparently costs about the same as a 16 gig Optane drive anyway? And yeah, I don't know. All the times I've seen Optane in a consumer product, it has been basically a waste of time, and they should have just put an SSD in it. And I don't understand why.
Okay. To be more specific, I mean Optane as in the market rebrand of 3D X-Point memory.
Okay.
Not the small SSDs called Optane, which were accelerated drives for other SSDs.
Yes.
Yes, this is what I mean. Optane as in 3D X-Point memory or cross-point memory, the stuff that you can get in like 1.92 terabyte drives.
Okay. Fine. Yes.
Yes, the stuff that has access latencies at less than half of Flash NAND and stuff like that.
Okay. That would explain. This often explains why I get mixed. Like, I hear some people going sort of, oh, Optane is so good and stuff like that. And I'm just like, every time I see Optane, I think it's a bit shit. A bit Shih Tzu Terrier dog, I mean. So yeah, okay, well, that would explain it. But yes, okay, fair enough. Let's see. Caradog is using 3200 Kelvin, yes.
My lights, the lights I'm actually using up there are 3000 Kelvin.
Oh yeah, that's why you're yellow.
Yes, because I bought these bulbs so long ago that the Logitech Orbit was their newest webcam, the one that had the motor in it, and that, not Orbit, Sphere, and went like this, and you could wiggle it around, and that mangled every image to just be blue.
Oof.
So I bought these color of bulbs to make that white,
Okay,
and then
yeah.
they've just not died.
Fair enough.
And I'm just like, oh, I kind of need to replace these now with
Okay.
like.
Well, that brings us into a good topic then, is that it seems that we've got we seem to have a running pattern on the show that every week we establish that we need something and we need to buy something this week. Last week we established that I needed to get a whiteboard and some white markers, and someone sent me a pack of whiteboard markers. So thank you, anonymous person who sent me whiteboard markers. There is a pack of 4 of them. They've got a built-in magnet so I can stick it to the whiteboard with an eraser on it. These are cool. So thank you, anonymous person.
That's actually useful.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually like the useful version.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's that. So now someone's got to send Caradog like some I don't know, some 4700 Kelvin bulbs, or maybe some 5700s or something like that. I don't know.
Oh dear, no! Please don't. No,
we're joking, by the way.
I will at some point actually sort out stuff. I was considering buying a camera this week, but I went. I didn't really get around to it and kind of look at it.
I still don't think it's worth it. I know it's going to be good quality, but I think a decent webcam and lighting will give you something that is just as good when you're streaming. Obviously, content production is different, but by the time, like, because I've also noticed
I want a DSLR.
Okay,
I want to buy a DSLR.
Yeah.
I meant I was going to get one this week, but then I just kind of never got around to it.
Yeah, because one of the things I've noticed, I don't know if you've ever watched Wan Show recently, Caradog, but I know for a fact that
for a while
that Linus from home is using a I think it's a DSLR, or it's very close to. It's one of these small, kind of like a compact cinema camera, but also it's one of these like cameras that probably started life as a DSLR, but got pivoted into being a YouTube content creation camera kind of thing. But to all intent and purpose, let's just pretend it's a DSLR because it should be the same. He's using.
Is this the old Canon he was using?
Possibly, yeah. But he has a decent camera, and he has twin Elgato streaming lights, and I think his setup looks crap. So, you know, despite having really good equipment, he's not getting a good picture, in my opinion. And that kind of makes me go, that makes me not want to buy expensive gear, because I think that I'm getting a better look. Like, yeah, absolutely, the color temperature that I've got here, I need to warm up slightly. But yeah, I feel like you can do better with cheap stuff if it's just set up nicely. So what needs to be done with my white balance? Do I need to go warmer or colder? Let's find out. Go that way.
It's also the brightness is slightly wrong.
Yeah.
The actual like raw brightness, not the exposure, but yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. There we go. Now I'm a bit less washed out now. But yeah, I don't know. I get it. Linus is using a red camera.
Will.
Not at home. They use red cameras to make their actual stuff, but he's not using that for WAN show. So yeah. Can you still buy 100-watt light bulbs in the EU? I'm sure someone would sell them. They're not supposed to, but I'm sure you can find them somewhere. But
I've no idea. I wouldn't know. I've replaced all my lights with LEDs 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not about wattage, it's about color temperature and CRI and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Shockingly, these are only the ones I've got in there currently are only 330 lumen bulbs. I thought they were way higher than that, but they're like 10 years old, so that was really cracking output for 10 years ago. But yeah, I will eventually replace all of my lights with stuff, or just stick one of those ceiling panel lights like hovering here.
Yeah. Have we spoken about the 3060 Ti yet? No, we haven't. It looks banging. However, like everything else that has been released that looks banging, you can't buy it. So who cares? Basically. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the
I
point?
haven't seen any reviews of it or anything at all.
I
I've just seen that they've come out. I'm
think
genuinely like a full week behind on
yeah.
everything.
I think I skimmed the. I watched the Jace 2 Cents review actually, because his one was titled. His one had a interesting, slightly clickbait title saying something like "This is the wrong time" or something like that. And I was like, "Oh, he's going to talk about how you can't get it," kind of thing, which was like sort of yes, I want to talk about that. And yeah, basically from a quick scan of the benchmark graphs that they threw up during the video, it's a matter of yeah, it's ridiculous. It's literally a full step up. So it's a matter of it's basically the 3060 Ti is trading blows with a 2070 Super, if my memory serves me. So yeah, it's just a full step up. And at the MSRP, so at the price it's supposed to cost, which I think is, what was it? Was it $400 or was it $300? Someone correct me in the chat. 2080 Super. Really? Was it the 2080 Super? Damn, that's ridiculous. But yeah, it's really good. It's $400. So it's like, it's like with the rest of the 30 series cards. It's really hecking good, and at the MSRP, it's crazy good bang for buck, but you can't buy it. So what's the point? So like this time next year, maybe, like in 6 months or whatever, when you actually can buy these for the price they're supposed to cost, this will be amazing. However, you can't buy any of these cards, and the only people that do have them, like last time I checked, the 3070, like I was worried about paying 620 quid for the 3070s that I bought in, but the last time I checked, you still can't get a 3070 for less than £700 anywhere. So it's just like, it doesn't really matter how good these things are or what they cost, because you can't buy them for that price. And like, people keep saying sort of, oh yeah, but this is really cheap. And I'm like, but no one has it for that price. Therefore, it doesn't cost that much. This is why I was like, I asked you earlier on in the Discord about a Ryzen 5 5600X. And I was like, what do these things actually cost? Because you can't buy them anywhere. So the MSRP is basically meaningless. Like everyone's like sort of, oh, it's supposed to cost $300. It's like, but no one is selling it for $300. So that's not what it costs, is it? So it's, and that's the thing, is just, people will say sort of, oh, the 3060 Ti is $400. It's a killer graphics card. I'm like, well, it's not $400 because you can't buy one for $400.
Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to cost, but that's not what it actually costs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks, based purely off of sort of scans, numbers, and so on, that at least a 5000 series, the stock level should be resolved by January. Basically.
Yeah, that was interesting because didn't you say they were getting in like 1200 or something like that?
Yes, they are expecting 1246 Ryzen 5 5600Xs on the week commencing 1st December.
Yeah.
They're expecting a total of 2157 5000 series that week. The week after, they're expecting 4190.
Oh, wow,
so it's a case of they're expecting double the stock. Basically, January, they're expecting to have double the stock in a week that they had for the entirety of November and December, effectively.
I think what I'm going to do, I was talking to you about it earlier on because I've got a client who wants a computer that costs, the budget is going to be like, I don't know, £1,600, £1,700, something like that. So we're talking like $1,800, that kind of money. And this has been on the back burner while we wait for graphics cards and CPUs and stuff. I've got the graphics card. That's what the other 3070 is going to go in. And I'm just figuring out the CPU now. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to him, because the client is a friend, so I do know them. And I think what I'm going to say to them is like, right, you want this thing for Christmas because it's going to be a new family computer for the whole family to use and play games on. What we'll do, I've got a Ryzen 3600 kicking around my shop. We'll stick the Ryzen 3600 in it, so you've got it for Christmas. And then in January, bring it back in and we'll put a 5600X in it. I think that's what I'm going to do.
I would do that.
Because
or
the other alternative is the only other choice I've got really is to put a 3700X in it, which would be fine. But the 5600...
I wouldn't personally. I would still put a 3600 in it because it's cheaper. And certainly for gaming and everything that a non-hardcore user is going to do, they're not going to tell any difference whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the budget for something. They've got the budget for something a bit more than that, though.
But that's kind of saying the same as, I've got this money, I might as well set it on fire. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, if that makes sense. I don't need this money this month, I might as well burn it. You know, it's a case of, if you're not going to see any difference in performance for your use case, what's the point in spending more money? Just because you have more budget.
Yeah, I mean, we're putting a 3070 in it, so...
But the gaming performance between a 3060 and a 3070 is the same.
Okay, yeah.
Give or take a frame. 5 frames.
Yeah.
So
fair.
it's kind of a case of it's not really that concerned. What I would have said if you didn't have a 3060 is grab something like a 3300X off of Amazon Germany or Case King Germany. Stick that in there, then buy a 5600 in January. So you have it for Christmas, you have it for that week, 2 weeks, and then put the 5600 in afterwards, and then flog the 3300 on UK eBay for like 150 quid.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's what I would do, because I'm willing to faff.
Yeah. Although, would I get a 3300X in... Would I be able to import one before Christmas?
You have connections.
That's true, actually. You're right.
You and I could quite happily.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Now you mention it, I'm thinking, do I know someone in Germany who could buy one and post it to me? And I'm like, yes, I do. So, yeah. And we're both thinking about the same person. So, yeah.
Well, you also know 2 people in the Netherlands.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting.
So it's kind of a case of, it's not an issue on that front.
Yeah. And
also you can just buy direct from like Case King and they'll just ship direct to the UK.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to stick my 3600 in it that I've got in the shop at the moment.
That's what I'm saying. If you didn't have that...
Hypothetically, though, yes. Yeah, hypothetically.
I would have done that.
Yeah. And you're right. The fact that I could then just resell that probably at profit afterwards, that's very interesting. So,
because obviously it's a case of, the only reason I'm suggesting that is because it's your friend, because they want it for Christmas, because you can easily swap the parts around, and because obviously it's a case of it's for a month kind of thing. I would spend the least amount of money on it up front.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with that.
That would be kind of my point. Obviously, if it was a case of it was for long term, no, just don't do that. Just stick the 3600X in it or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd do.
Yeah, fair enough. And let's see. So, highest available NVIDIA card, 2070s. Yeah, lots of stock of that. You'd use a B550. Yeah, I agree. I will probably put a B550 motherboard in this build because it's kind of frustrating. I want to use flagship chipsets. So, like an X chipset and not a B chipset. However, the B550 motherboards, then they're just newer than all of the X570 boards. And because they're newer, broadly speaking, they're better equipped because they just have newer features, newer VRMs on them and all the rest of it. So, yeah, I agree with that. B550 does seem to be where it's at the moment. I've got 2 X570 boards in the shop at the moment. One of them is just really meh. That I just need to flog somewhere, and the other one it's a nice board. I think I'm going to keep that as a demo board though, because it's one of those boards that looks nicer than it actually is. it's an I'll get it, and I'll point out some of the reasons why I actually hang on a minute.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because this is I think this is interesting. So
Oh yeah,
This
the good old.
carry on.
I was just gonna say because obviously I actually just kicked up my Aorus Master this week and actually started using it. I turned it on and the first thing I went is, oh no, the chipset fan.
It should be quiet after that though, because I've built with a couple of chipset fans, and when I
It's fine, but it was the first thing I did was just like, oh no, the chipset fan, because I forgot there was a chipset fan.
Yeah, they're thermally controlled though, so they're fine. Yeah,
It was
like when
oh no.
Yeah, I agree with that, because when X570 was announced and we saw the chipset fans on them, I was like, oh no, we're not doing this again. I was there, Gandalf. You know, Enforced 2 days with your stupid whiny 40mm fan. That was the first thing to fail on any computer. If that motherboard had a chipset fan, it was going to die within a year or two, and you'd have to put
The
a
chipset was going to
third-party one.
die. Yes.
Yeah. So of course, when we saw the X570 boards with the chipset fans, I was like, hell no. However, this is the new age, and we have thermally controlled fans now, and so you don't hear them.
Christ.
You just don't hear them. You know, it's either not spinning because you're not using all of the PCI Express lanes on the board anyway, or it's spinning so slowly that you can't even hear it. So they're just not an issue.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I was gonna say mine was only fractionally of mention because I'm running it caseless on my desk, literally here.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it was a case of because I'm bent, because it's basically a bench setup currently with a. I'm still concerned by how bent it looks like my motherboard is.
Is it doing the same thing as the one that we saw in the Lianli?
I can't remember what that was.
Remember
it's because obviously I've got my custom mounting bracket.
Oh yeah. Have you? Can you? Oh no, it's going to be too much work. I was going to say, can you get us a picture of your setup, because it's a very interesting one, but I don't know if there's.
I can.
Or actually, if failing that, if you can take a. Oh yeah, if you can move your camera without ruining the world.
That.
Or we can just about see it there. Yeah. For those of you, failing that, can you take a pic? Have you got another phone handy? I was going to say, if you take a picture of it and Discord it to me, I'll show the people of the stream what you're running at the moment, because it's really cool. Spoilers, it's a chiller.
I will be back in a second then.
Okay. Meanwhile, I'm going to talk about this board, because this board, this is an MSI. I'm going to demirror for a sec. Brio transform flip horizontal. There we go. This is an MSI X570 Edge, and it looks really cool. This looks like a really nice board, right? However, and it is a nice board, don't get me wrong, I quite like this board. However, it's got, the audio on it is okay, it's good, not great. But the bit that gets me is there's no Type-C front panel connector on it, and it doesn't have any, it doesn't have much in the way of diagnostic lights on it. And it does, it doesn't have triple M.2 slots, and it's only got 2 PCI Express 16 length slots, and it's what was the other thing that I spotted about it that I didn't like? There was something else I'd spotted on it that I didn't like. Yeah, the VRMs are just sort of good, not great. And again, it was just a matter of there's lots of X570 boards like this one that visually look stunning, but when you actually look at the feature set of them and you actually drill into the board, you're like, there are B550 boards that are way better than this. And this is the frustrating thing, is that the manufacturers are just like, oh yeah, we're going to make new B550 boards because everyone wants B550. And I'm just like, can you make that board, but with an X570 chipset, please? So we get the flagship chipset, but with the features that the B550s all seem to have. And I don't know, I'm not explaining this very well because I'm ad-libbing, but yeah, I don't know, maybe you guys see what I mean about this, but
It's they're not as good as they should be considering what they are.
Yeah, they're not as good as they, and considering what they cost as well. This is the thing. Like, there was that one board. There was an Asus B550E Strix, I think, that had more or less the same VRM as a £300 X570 motherboard, and it costs like £180. It's like £100 less than the equivalent X570, and it's got the same VRM on it. And
that makes sense.
And it also has all the other features on it that you would want. And it's just like, yeah, like someone in the chat mentioned that they were watching Jay's 2 cents, and Jay was saying, can B550 go away, please? And I'm like, kind of, yeah. I think the issue is, I have a suspicion that the issue is that the X570 chipset itself is too expensive. And so it's not possible to make a competitive X570 motherboard. Whereas the B550 chipset is doubtless a lot cheaper. So it's much easier to make a competitive B550 motherboard that actually has really good feature sets on it. But
it's also going to be a case of you need fewer layers in the motherboard.
Yeah.
And you need less quality of manufacturing because you don't need the signal integrity for all of the PCIe Gen 4 because B550 is only Gen 3 to the other slots.
Yeah.
It's only Gen 4 to one of the M2s and one of the 16s.
Yep, that's true.
As far as I'm aware.
I tell you what, I think X570 is ahead of its time, isn't it?
In a sense,
we're paying a premium for features that we just like, because the strength of X570 is the fact that you've got PCI Express 4 everywhere, but we don't need PCI Express 4 everywhere. Like, there's an argument to be made for PCI Express 4 to your first M.2 slot for crazy high storage and stuff like that, but you can get that across the CPU lanes anyway. So, you know, we don't need that to every single slot on the board. And one day that may well be the standard, but that's not going to be this generation, or certainly not the X570 generation anyway.
And I think the place where it would have been most useful is purely being the link out of the CPU to the chipset, because obviously having 4 PCIe 4 channels to the chipset means you've got 8 PCIe 3 channels worth of bandwidth.
That's true.
And it's a case of, from that point, it is useful.
Yes, I could agree with that.
So it was kind of a case of that was what made it useful. That was, that's where it would have been useful to me, is obviously you can have a processor that has only 4 channels worth of bandwidth used up, but you're getting much more bandwidth for those 4 channels.
And I also agree with Mike Jones that motherboards have gone way too expensive, because I agree with that. And that's complicated, because when you say that something is way too expensive, there's 2 ways that you can interpret that. Is either it's overpriced or it's just more expensive than it used to be. I don't think modern motherboards are overpriced. They cost as much as they do for good reasons, because there's significantly more manufacturing in them now. However, I do agree that the minimum standard for motherboards that you should be buying is definitely more expensive than it used to be. Like, for ages, with even with X470, so only a generation or so ago, you could buy the cheapest X470 motherboard for about £100 or $100, and that'd be absolutely fine. Whereas now, as of X570 and stuff like that, when you buy a really cheap X570 motherboard, it actually transpires that might not actually be able to run the highest end CPU that will go into its socket. There's plenty of X570 motherboards out there where if you actually drop a 3950X into it, or probably now a 5950X, it'll melt the VRM. Whereas you used to, so from that to that extent now, when I'm speccing up computers, I'm now expecting to have to pay somewhere between £170 to £200 for the motherboard, whereas previously I used to be saying sort of, £100 for a decent motherboard, maybe 140 or 50 if we want to get a nice flashy one. Whereas now 140 or 50 will get you the bare minimum.
Yeah.
and will probably be good enough, but at the very least, if I make a video about a computer with a £100 motherboard in it, I'm going to have a load of comments going, the VRMs on it aren't very good. They run too hot. So, yeah.
And I guess, 'cause obviously, I've always bought completely the opposite way around, and I've basically just bought the best Gigabyte board that they make for whatever platform I'm building.
That's
So
true,
it's
but
the
then
case of I've not really seen any difference in that. I've just kind of gone.
But then you're building to feature requirements rather than budget requirements, if you see what I mean.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't have a horse in this race.
Yeah, that's right. You're a different kind of client who is a matter of, this is what I want to buy. If you have to ask the price, you can't afford it, kind of thing. Whereas most of the customers that I deal with are like, I have £1,000 to spend on a gaming computer. And so for me, I then go to Amazon and go, right, I've got a £1,000 budget. What's the fastest computer that I can build for £1,000?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so different kind of limitations. So for me, obviously, so yeah.
And it's a case of, based off of what I posted in the contributors channel the other night, it's a case of I apparently need a motherboard that can support nearly 500 watts to the CPU.
Yeah. Yes.
Because that was a thing that occurred.
Yeah. You have sent me things as well. Right. I need to figure out how to get this over to you. I'm going to plug in. I'm going to do a dangerous maneuver, which I can actually do. I'm going to plug in a HDMI cable into my laptop because I didn't plug it in at the start of the stream. This used to crash OBS, but it doesn't anymore.
Oh no. Oh dear. But yes, it was very much the case that I was looking at that, and it was I was running at 80 degrees over ambient. Over the cooler's ambient.
Yeah.
Because the cooler was reporting being at -40 and the chip was at +40.
Oh no.
So it's like there was an 80 Celsius difference between the processor core and the cold plate on the cooler.
Let's get these pictures open so I can show people.
This is like, oh, okay.
Right.
Shockingly, it wasn't particularly stable.
Okay, right, here we go. HDMI capture. Bam. So yeah, this is Caradog's current setup. So that's a Gigabyte Aorus Master with a, was it a 5900X you got, or the
5950X?
Yeah, this is a 5950X with a phase change chiller on it. So yeah, that's a sub-ambient setup with a refrigeration chiller on it. And that's what Caradog is running off of right now. So this is why he has what sounds like very bonkers numbers. And also, have you dealt with the icing problem yet?
Yes. I haven't turned it off yet.
Yeah. When you say yes like that, that's exactly what I'm expecting. That it's going to be
if
yes.
You look at the bottom of the cooler, you can see the ice peeking out the side in that photo.
Oh god, you can. Hold on a sec. Let's just flip back to that a minute. So this bit here, that's ice. That's literally ice creeping out. So yeah. That's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Right, where's the chat gone?
So, and the thing is with that, if I bang that on full load with PBO on and unrestricted, it gets hot enough to melt that ice.
Good grief.
That because you're dumping just under 500 watts into that processor.
That's crazy. Like, what's it idling at?
-38.
Sorry, I'll rephrase that. Power-wise.
Oh, like 1 watt.
Oh, that's that. Okay, that's pretty cool then. Yeah, because
it's at -40.
Yeah,
and it's also reducing the voltage to like 0.7 volts for I'm doing 0.7 volts. It's something like 4.3 gigahertz.
Yeah. So just the
And
requirements
I'm just like,
drop.
oh, okay.
Nice.
That'll do me. That'll do me.
Because that's the problem when you run a ridiculous setup like that. Is like sometimes is that it won't, like, this is something that this used to be one of the reasons why I never used to overclock, is that you could get more performance. However, you'd normally lose all the power saving features. So you'd find just like this happened with my old FX rig when I was overclocking my FX 8350.
There was no power saving on FX.
Exactly, yeah. So that was the problem, is that my PC, even when I'm not doing anything, would be sitting at like 200 watts load all the time. And I'm just like, for something that's on all day, every day, I don't want it to be sitting at 200 watts. That's going to burn a hole in my pocket. Whereas, so when you say sort of, oh, the CPU can start sucking 500 watts, it's just like, do you actually want your PC to be sucking half a kilowatt all the time? But if that's only at peak load...
That's just the CPU.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
That doesn't include the chiller.
Yeah, that's minus 40 C, by the way, Iceman. Celsius.
Which is the same as minus 40 Fahrenheit, I think.
Oh, really? Oh, how about that?
I think. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember. There is a temperature where they are identical, and it's around that point.
And that was a Gigabyte Aorus Master Otto.
Yes. Yeah, and it's the exchanger is using 400 watts.
Is it that much?
Yeah.
Damn, bro. But yeah, well, I assume that's when it's actually compressing.
When the compressor's actually going, it's 400 watts.
Yeah.
But when it's like...
When it's idling.
When obviously it's basically idling and only ticking on every now and then, it goes down to however much power 3 fans uses.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose because it's thermally reactive as well, the compressor is not going to come on as often when the computer is idling either.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
My Cinebench R20 and R23 scores are approximately double that of a 3900.
God, that's nuts. Yeah. But the thing that my only solace is just see, like, this is crazy, but my solace of this is knowing that this is not a practical setup for the vast majority of people. Because whenever you see someone get crazy numbers like that, you're just like, oh God, everything I've built for the past 6 months has just been wrong. And it's just like, not really, because the setup here that has gotten these crazy numbers is not at all practical for 99.9% of people.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Yeah. And I have, I've only started pushing, but I've pushed my Infinity Fabric over 2 gigahertz.
Do you still get gains past 2 gigahertz?
I don't know yet.
Yeah, because I was going to say...
It is stable at 2.025.
Yeah, because I was going to say... I seem to remember that on Ryzen 3000, everyone was saying, there's no point in taking the Infinity Fabric past 2 gigahertz.
You couldn't get Ryzen stable at more than 1900.
Yeah.
You couldn't get Zen 3.
Yeah.
Zen 2. Numbers. Zen 2 stable at 1900 was, the top binned chips.
Yeah.
So, yes, it was very much... but yes, enough. I'm pleased with that, because then it means I can run my RAM at 4000 and obviously be at 1:1:1. So I'm pleased with that. So I'm seeing if I can go any higher than that.
Yeah. Oh, also, Iceman just confirmed that, yes, the scales for Celsius and Fahrenheit cross at minus 40. So, yes, minus 40 Fahrenheit and Celsius. It was a trick question. Well, today I learned.
Yes.
You tricked me, sir. Good job. By the way, how necessary is that? It's not, but this is Caradog. So it is not a question of who will let him, but who will stop him. So...
Yeah, exactly.
It's really good to see that chiller actually in action, though, because we were messing around with that chiller like 18 months ago, maybe longer. We were messing around with that ages ago, and we recorded a lot of videos, but it all got thrown out because we didn't get a setup that was practically working. We couldn't get anything that was working in a useful setup kind of thing. It
Yeah,
was
basically.
we couldn't get a good mount, and we were running chips that needed delidding, and we didn't have the equipment to delid, and we just it never came to anything. Whereas it's really good to see that system is now alive and working on a brand new chip and actually getting you big numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is super cool.
I need to take like actually sand down the cold plate slightly though.
Yeah.
Just because it's got huge scars and stuff in it.
Yeah.
So I need to do that because obviously I'm number chasing. I need to do that and see if I can get any improvement there.
Yeah. And on a setup like this is one of those times where you actually probably will get perceivable improvements as well.
Yeah, because I'm hoping that I can reduce the temperature delta because it's currently 80 C.
Yeah, that's just delta. It. Because like your evaporator is going to be running what, -40 on the evaporator?
Yeah, the evaporator. It's currently reporting -26.
Yeah,
because it's on full load.
Yeah, and so obviously, your biggest enemy here is heat extraction, is getting heat out of the chip. So the interface between the chip and the cold plate is everything. Because that's the thing. A lot of people. This is often when you start talking about PC cooling. There's lots of factors because this is an issue that one of the reasons why air cooling versus water cooling and stuff like that. A lot of people forget that once you've got your cooling capabilities up to a certain level, it's no longer a matter of how big your heatsink is. Or how much airflow you have going through the heatsink. It's more an issue of how quickly you can get the heat out of the chip. You've got all of this power to dissipate heat, but you need to get the heat out of the chip and into the cooler before you can dissipate it. And this is why, like the Skylake i7, so like the 6700K and I think the 7700K were such bastards to cool because because they had garbage thermal paste in the IHS, the integrated heat spreader. So it didn't matter how big your cooler was because you couldn't get the heat out of the chip. So that's the issue. And a lot of people are just like, oh, those chips, they run so hot kind of thing. And it's just like, well, they're not producing that much heat. The issue is you can't get the heat out of the CPU. And at that point, it doesn't matter if you've got a big, huge fridge sitting on top of it because, you got to get the heat out the chip.
Yeah, exactly, and that's ultimately ends up being the issue is the thermal transfer actually into the cold plate on the cooler. I'm just quickly flicking through my photos whilst I speak, so I'm hoping to find an actual picture of the evaporator head. There's a picture of the evaporator head, which I can then send to you, and hopefully you can then pop up on the screen just so people can see what I'm on about for the actual evaporator head.
I certainly can.
Oh, good, it is embedding. That's fine.
Yeah. How easy is it to get LN2 in the UK? I've no idea, actually. I've never looked into it.
Yeah, I've not looked because I wanted to get the furthest I could at -40.
Yeah, the problem with LN2
and then it was a
is
case of when I've done that, I'll start actually looking at it. But it's something I'm going to look at.
The problem with it is LN2 is a suicide run isn't the word for it, but obviously that's a bench setup for a session. And the thing is that with the evaporator, with the chiller that Caradog is using, that is something that he can run as a daily driver. He can run that all day, every day. Whereas obviously with LN2, you're only good for a session, and then your LN2 evaporates and your board is frozen up, and you've got to take it all to bits and start again. Whereas the point of this evaporator is you've got -40 at the evaporator, and you can run that indefinitely, which is the crazy thing. Here comes a picture of the evaporator. Let me just get that on screen. Please open in the right window. Well, that's good enough. That's visible. Just as an interesting HDMI. Bam. So yeah, that's the Oh, I'm in the way. I'll just make myself invisible super quick. Bam. Nope, that's the wrong one. Brio. There we go. There's the evaporator head. And so I mean it's frosted over. I mean you can probably see that there's some scuffs and some scratches in there and stuff like that. So that's all got to be tidied up. But yes, that's the business end of this setup.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing I like with the way that it is set up is it's the case that it's very easy to just swap out the plates and stuff that you're using as mounting. So yeah, obviously I can adapt that to any CPU socket that is the size of that evaporator head.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
it's also part of the reason why obviously I can't use this for Threadripper or like
Yeah, because it's
you know
around
the W
the Xeon.
31, what's it?
Yeah,
That overclockable Xeon, because they're too big.
yeah, yeah,
And I would lose so much efficiency in how small the evaporator head is.
yeah. That's
I
fair.
wonder if people are making like Threadripper evaporator heads and stuff,
Yeah,
because I can't imagine that they would be, because the reason that this evaporator exists is because I picked it up for free from a high frequency stock trading company that shut down. And they had it so they could overclock their processor even further, so they could do their trading
so they
even
could go faster. Yeah,
Yeah, and it was a case that they probably spent £2,000 on the evaporator, but obviously £2,000 is a couple of minutes of fast trades.
yeah.
So
Cray. Yeah, fair enough.
Yes, is nice.
Fair. Well,
Yeah. I think the thing that amazes me is, as I've mentioned, I do folding at home, and I just span up folding at home on this, and this fluctuates between being 10% faster and 40% faster than my 980 is at doing differently optimized but similar protein folding type maths.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's just like,
that's still impressive. When your CPU is significantly outpacing hardware acceleration, effectively.
Yeah.
So
and it's just like, oof.
Yeah,
it boggles my mind.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to move on to another topic that is, well, I don't know if I can comment on it. Noel Dowds, how you doing, my dude? I have spotted you with chiming in on the NZXT H1 safety issues. I have heard of this because I've seen the headlines, but I must admit I haven't watched any of the videos. So I don't know much about it. I do find it kind of interesting. I'm going to quickly Google search this just to see if I can come up with information on it now.
I know absolutely nothing about it other than Gamers Nexus releasing a video and Gamers Nexus shitting on NZXT on Twitter because NZXT said, imagine buying a console. So Gamers Nexus replied with, imagine selling cases that catch fire.
Oof. Yeah.
And I'm like, why NZXT said that in the first place, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's a bad look. It's a really bad look for them.
Yeah, it's to do with the vertical graphics card mount.
Oh.
And there is a screw. And so, hang on a sec. Exactly what is it that is... What is that shorting out
How did the screw
against?
catch fire?
It's causing a power short, basically. I'm just trying to see exactly how, because the first article I've looked at, they probably explain it in the text, but they don't have a picture that explains the issue. So, gross. Tech Radar, NZXT recalls Xbox Series X lookalike PC. Pretty certain the H1 has been around for longer than the Series X, but whatever. Cookies.
It's the H1. Sorry, I thought it was... Oh, I didn't realise what case it was, right.
Yeah, I'm kind of
what's
interested.
That case even looks like? NZXT.
Why does no one just have a clear picture that just shows the issue?
What's it even look like?
That first one I was at is actually the best one so far.
It's that. Oh, I see.
Yeah. Okay,
Oh, right.
let's go back to this one, because that was the clearest picture. The nearest thing I can see...
Sorry, what? The case costs $350?
I hate these SFF cases. Like, so firstly, here's the case. So here is the riser cable going across, and there's a screw here, and apparently that screw is shorting out against something. I'm not exactly sure what, but apparently that is shorting something. Possibly, if that is digging into the side of the graphics card and shorting layers in the graphics card, that'd do it. If that shorts 2 layers in the graphics card PCB across power planes, then that will give you fire, my dude. So that might be it. But yeah, they're saying to remove that screw and just zip tie it in is the temporary fix. So yeah, that seems to be what they're talking about. And yeah, I mean, this case has been around for a while, but I'm assuming that there is just certain graphics cards or something that have come around, or like where these things have now aged a little bit, they've all settled in such a way that everything has just moved slightly out of position, and the tolerances have failed, or something like that. Apparently the power supply and cooler is included, hence the price. So that makes sense.
Okay. I was thinking, if this is just an NZXT tin box for $350.
Yeah, if it's got a power supply with it, yeah, that's fair enough then. And it comes with AIO and riser. Yeah.
Yeah, if it comes with effectively a custom AIO as well, then yeah, that makes sense.
Actually, that makes me dislike it a lot less, because recently there's been a big push towards small form factor cases. These tower small form factor cases are all the rage, and I don't like them. I think it's just not my cup of tea. I'm a traditional tower guy through and through. ATX or micro ATX, however, a decent case with an AIO and a power supply at $350. So that's probably about £350. So let's say the case is £100, the cooler is £100, and the power supply is $100. It's still a bit pricey. However, it's very uniquely designed. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's okay. But
assuming
it's
like
pain
an
to work with, poor
watt.
thermals. That's exactly why I don't like them. I can't remember if I've said it on this podcast before, but I've done a small form factor a couple of times, and both times it's a Tetris computer, so you have to assemble everything in a very specific order in a very certain way. And if you need to do something like remove the CPU or something like that, it's a disaster, because the entire system has got to come apart. And if the motherboard dies, then God help you, kind of thing. You have to use small form factor power supplies, and like these days there are good SFF power supplies available these days. I'll concede that point. But at the time when I was doing it, there were no good SFF power supplies. So your power budget was basically about 300 watts. And you had to build a gaming computer that would not exceed 300 watts. And that would be just some random brand one as well. And then also, just thermals. You're always fighting heat with them. You're always fighting heat. Whereas when you build in just an ATX tower, you just lob it all in there and it just works, So, yeah. Apparently don't buy a H1 right now, at least, yeah. But I don't know. I get the appeal of small form factor, but I don't know. I usually say to people, just buy a compact computer. Like buy a Corsair 220T. That's not a big case, and it's an ATX case. That I really like. The Corsair 220T is a really hecking good case. It's really small, and it fits a full ATX motherboard in it.
Yeah. If you wanted to go even more ridiculous and get even smaller, you've got Flex ATX.
Yeah.
And you can now get PSUs in 500 watt in Flex ATX.
That's nuts.
And Flex ATX is 40. It's 40 mil tall and like 80 mil wide.
Yeah.
And it's just what?
Yeah. Oh, got something close to it. Yeah.
And here's one I just so happen to have on hand.
Close to it. This is fairly long for a Flex ATX, but here's a Dell small form factor computer, and that's the power supply along the top. And at the back, as you can see, it's that little square. So that's the kind of scale we're working on here. This is quite a long boy, though. Flex ATX is sort of more like It's probably
It'd be
about
about
that long
half
or
of that,
something.
three
Yeah,
quarters. Yeah.
something around that. But 500 watts in that box, that's nuts, man. It goes to show how efficient modern power stages have become.
Yeah.
Because they can just it's efficiency, because obviously the previous limiting factors was just heat dissipation, because you have to convert that power. You've got to do that DC conversion without producing too much heat, because you might be able to make MOSFETs that can do DC conversion at 500 watts in a tiny little package, but it's going to burn up and catch fire. Whereas these days, of course, they've got the efficiency so high that you can do all of that DC conversion and have almost zero waste heat. And that's why, just modern power supplies are getting really good and really quiet.
Christ. You're saying about SFX. The highest power SFX I can find currently in the UK, at least, is 850 watts.
What brand is that one? That's not
Cooler Master.
Cooler Master, huh? Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. 80 plus gold.
Yeah.
Or if you went for 800 watts, you can get a Silverstone SFX.
I was about to say, haven't Silverstone been making some good ones?
Which is 80 plus titanium.
Damn, bro. That's nuts.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. That's pretty rad.
Yeah.
But even still, though, despite knowing that these power supplies are out there, I still don't particularly want small form factor again.
Oh, no.
And people always say sort of, but, going to LAN parties and stuff like that. I'm like, lugging your tower to a LAN party is half the fun. Like sometimes, whenever I'm at a LAN party and I see someone who's brought along their gaming laptop, I'm just like, man, that's boring, dude. So for me, bringing your PC along to a LAN party, that's part of the fun, in my opinion. But on the other hand, though, there's probably some people that go to a dozen LAN parties a year who get bored of lugging it around, and so I guess you could argue that.
Absolutely, I would absolutely build a really small gaming computer if I was going to be going somewhere.
Yeah,
like that. But it would be like the smallest possible full ATX.
Yeah. Corsair 220T.
Too big.
Yeah.
Must be smaller.
Yeah.
But it'd be something like that where it's basically a case of, or you just have something made out of acrylic that is the size of a motherboard, and it's like this big.
Yeah.
So it's just like this high, like that, and all you've got is a Delta fan mounted here.
Yeah.
It's just like
everyone at the LAN party.
Is this computer running?
You'll be that guy. You go to the LAN party with your stupid Delta fan, and you're that guy who has an obnoxiously loud computer and his headset just on his head, noise cancellation, so he can't hear a goddamn thing, and he leaves it running overnight while everyone's trying to sleep around it. And I was that guy once, because I bought one of the when I was at a LAN party. It might have been it wasn't the last one I went to, but the previous one before that. I brought along the shop workstation. So this guy here, I brought along this guy here as a spare computer. Because I bring along quite a lot of spares to a LAN party, and these days I just bring along a spare tower, because there's always someone who's got tech issues, and if someone's graphics card dies, I can literally just go graphics card out, and I can be like, my dude, here is a spare graphics card. It's not as good as your one, but it will get you gaming, and you can go and buy a new graphics card next week when you get home. This will get you back in the game so you can start playing. Or in the worst case, I can say, here is a spare gaming PC. I know it's not yours, just plug your hard drive into it and you will be back in the game, and I can save someone's weekend, And so I brought that along with me, and I left it turned on the counter overnight, and it has a hilariously bright LED strip in it. And at some point, someone was just like, Graham, can you turn off your computer? I'm like, it is off. And I look over and I see that one, the other one that I brought, not my one, but the other one, in the corner, beaming a sunbeam into the corner of the room of daylight white LEDs. And I'm like, sorry. So But yeah, and to
Or
answer
go
some
to a
of
LAN party with a chiller.
yeah. So yeah, how do LAN parties work? Yeah, they do use Ethernet. They literally just run Ethernet cables to each station. So you'll the LAN party I go to a medium, well, probably a small one. I go to a small LAN series called JLAN, or run by a organization called LAN Raiders, which are a bunch of old college friends of mine. And they are, I think that's about a 35-seat LAN party. So it's just big enough that it's not a couple of your mates. You know, there's normally about 35 people. There's normally about 35 computers set up there, and there'll be 40 people because there'll be a couple of observers or some people's girlfriends who come and hang out, whatever, you know. And so they will literally run an Ethernet cable to each seat on all the tables that are set up in the hall, and you go up, you carry your computer, you plug it down, and there will be under the bench there will be a long extension lead going to a 4-socket thing. You plug in your surge protector, so you've got a 6-socket breakout for your stuff, and there'll be an Ethernet cable to plug into the back of your PC there. So they give you one socket for power, which you then break out into multiple, and an Ethernet cable, and that's you plugged in. And everything else you bring your own stuff with you. And there's usually a couple of rules, like single monitor only, so don't rock up with dual monitors because you take up too much space and everyone hates you and stuff like that. Unless
you take up too much space with your monitor. Yes.
Except for this one. Shut up, you, with your TV. Except for, oh God, you showing up to the LAN. There's a guy who goes to LAN Raiders with a TV. However, his one is, I think it's like a 32-inch TV or something like that. So it's like, but yeah. And he has it on full brightness, so yeah. However, what was I going to say? Yeah, except there was also one guy that showed up one day who rocked up with dual monitors, but he had a vertical alignment thing. So he had just a really tall pole, so he had screen and screen. So he wasn't taking up any more space on the bench. He just had a column of monitors in front of him, kind of thing. And I'm just like, you mad lad. But yeah, LAN parties in the UK, I don't know how alive they are. There's not a lot of them about. I mean, the only one I've been to for the past, LAN Raiders has been going for over a decade. And they're the only ones that I ever go to. They're on hiatus at the moment for obvious reasons. However, as soon as they get started again, I'll be going back to there again. It usually books out fairly quick, though, because it's the same crowd that goes to every one. But yeah, we'll see. LAN parties are a good time, though. But also, LAN Raiders is a very, very casual LAN as well. Like, you go there and, like, there was one where Cities Skylines had just been released, and just everyone just played Cities Skyline there, which is a single-player game. And we were just you walk into the hall and just everyone's just playing Cities Skyline on their own. And we're just like, aren't we supposed to play multiplayer games? And I was like, But the point is, you don't really go there to play multiplayer games. You go there for the social. Is you see, a lot of people have got friends there that they don't see at any other time except at the LAN party. And so a lot of the time it's just sitting around talking about tech, drinking coffee, and just, it's a change of scenery. You just get away from the norm, and you're sleeping on the floor at weird hours of the day, kind of thing. So yeah. I would. I miss it, and I think that it's stuff like that that makes me look forward to being past the pandemic and all the rest of it. Because yeah, as I say, and just, like me and my schoolmates, we meet on Monday nights to play games. At the moment, we play Age of Empires on Monday nights and stuff, and we actually play games more often than we ever used to because we're doing it over the internet. But I miss when we used to go around to either my place or one of my friend's house, and we would all set up on his kitchen table. Like a proper old school mates LAN where there's 3 or 4 of you and you're all crammed onto the kitchen table with wires trailing everywhere, and there's something nostalgic about that. And like
I genuinely never did that.
Oh, you missed out, man. You missed out. I mean, you've been to
the problem. The problem I had was the fact that the other friend's house who I went to, his brother was like a network admin,
Yeah.
So their entire house was just kitted out with multi-gigabit networking everywhere.
Okay. Yeah.
So they were all just it was my friend plus his two brothers plus me and another friend. We were all just sat in the room with just like professional networking setup, with professional power setup, with big tables, and it was just like, I like this, I'm enjoying this, but this doesn't feel like it has the prerequisite level of sketch.
Yeah. Yeah. There has to be a bit of jank at a LAN party. And and like LAN raiders, their idea of jank is the fact that, I mean, obviously a small town hall, like a village hall, which is where it's hosted, isn't designed to have 30 to 40 computers running off of the double wall sockets around the room. So they've got their main power channels. They have to spread them out over over mains rings. And like usually there's at least one where they have to bodge into the lighting cabinet for the stage lighting that will usually be in these halls. And if there's a power cut, they have to turn them all on one by one so as not to cause an inrush current break again. If like when there's a power cut, they have to be like, right, everyone switch off your PCs, switch them off at the back, and they have to go like, right, that table over there, you may switch on your computers. Wait 5 seconds. Right. Next table, you may now switch on your computer. And they have to bring the hall back up gently. Because if if the power comes back on, they're like, power's back on! And everyone goes, power on their PC at the same time. And 30 and like 40 gaming rigs in the hall all spin up their hard drives at the same time. And the power dies again. So... It's literally like that scene from heckin' Apollo 13 where they're trying not to go over the amps limit kind of thing, Oh, it's good. Yeah, you're right. You need an amount of sketch at a good LAN party.
Yeah, I think it's still the thing that obviously
Carmageddon
amazes me is the fact that just you can obviously pull friggin' 13 amps, 240 volt from a single wall socket. It's just like. Ring mains!
Yeah. I don't know how the Americans do it with heckin' 110 at the wall. Because, like, I remember, I know, like, I was watching a Jay's 2 Cents video where he was showing that with long extension leads, they get voltage drop across long extension leads. Like, if you've got, like, a 20-meter extension lead and you put a power meter at the end of it, you could be down to like 90 volts. And it's just like, what? Meanwhile, yeah, just over here in the UK with our heckin' 3-pinners here, we're just like, sorry, I can't hear you over my 3 kilowatts at the wall. So, yeah.
It's mad, and I'm sure it will make sense to someone, but yeah.
Maybe.
Just, oh, wow.
Yeah. Or they just... Yeah, maybe, or it's just not as... Maybe it's just less of a problem, because I've noticed that American houses, they tend to have many more breakers, and obviously they've got two-phase to the house as well. So maybe they've just divided it all up more. Whereas, obviously, a lot of UK buildings, and certainly a lot of UK houses, like the ring mains, there'll be upstairs sockets and downstairs sockets kind of thing. Whereas I think... like in a lot of American houses, it's probably split up across rooms and stuff like that. But
I think we're quite special here in that I think we've got 4 sockets of ring mains, 4 ring mains for the sockets.
Yeah, you're in a fairly large-ish house though, aren't you?
And
or at the very least, it's a very odd layout.
Sockets. Yeah, 4 for sockets, and I think we've got something like 7 for lights.
Yeah. So like, meanwhile, in my shop,
hell.
Yeah. Like, I mean, my shop only has 2 rings. I've got sockets and lights, and that's it. So it's just, yeah, if I'm plugging in something dodgy where I'm just like, I think this might trip the breakers, I've got some sockets that are wired into the lighting ring. So if I've got something dodgy, I have to plug it in above my head on the lighting ring. So if it does trip the breaker, it'll only knock out the lights and not all of my shit, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's also the case of,
we
use ring mains. We use ring mains, whereas America is radial.
Yeah.
They have spider setup.
Yeah, that's true. Which, again, I suppose probably also has drop across it, whereas ring mains probably has less drop.
It makes it less of an issue, because obviously each arm of it effectively is independent for each one.
Yeah.
So yeah, but obviously
Rings are
we've
great,
got
but
nothing.
flawed.
We've got nothing on most of continental Europe where they have three-phase power to their house.
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
It's like, oh, I guess.
Do.
Yeah. It's the fact that obviously, the thing for me is they have to do the other connector type for 1600 watt and above power supplies.
Yeah. Whenever I see one of those, I'm like, sort of like, why has it got a weird connector on it? But yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah. And it's a case of obviously, in theory, we could go to a 3 kilowatt power supply on the same connector.
Yeah.
It's mad. Madness.
Yeah.
But hey.
Right. Yeah, and broken ring mains have caused many a fire. Yeah, that is true. Rings are.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not great from a safety perspective. I'll agree with that. There is way too much power in the UK. Like we're sitting here bragging about our 240 13 amp sockets kind of thing. It's just like you don't need that much power in the vast majority of cases. Yeah. However, I don't care. More power or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Right. It's 10-6, man. And
somehow.
And also I think we've talked a lot of Febreze this week. However, I hope apparently people are still finding it interesting. So yeah. Anything else we want to talk about?
I
think we.
I don't think so. I think that's most of the things that we had to come up. I think possibly the only thing was actually the thing of you saying about how you have too much work to do.
Yeah.
Although I like the fact that you can't English.
Oh, what did I put in? Oh, did I put in? I have two. Is it T's? I can't say it because hang on a sec, I need to maximize that so I can read it. I have too much work to do. Oh, I didn't put in an extra O. I'm sorry. I've become the thing I hate.
Gosh darn it!
It could be worse. There was a video I put out where that's it. I spelt practice in the English spelling, and
well, no. There's the fact of obviously there's practice as in in the sense of practicing something, getting better at it.
Yeah.
And this is the practice.
Okay. I don't want to talk about that anymore. Because it turns out I was wrong.
There's also compliment and compliment.
Yes. That's it. Thanks for coming along, everyone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because we started to get on talking about how to do things properly.
Well, I was about to dunk on YouTube comments, but it turns out they might have actually been onto something. So I want to leave this conversation now.
I'm in this photograph and I do not like it.
Yeah. Night in with a takeaway. I don't know what I'm having for dinner tonight. I don't know what I fancy. I'm going to go and relax at any rate. I mean, as per the title, I am manically busy in the shop right now, and I was probably thinking I'm going to do more overtime, but I might be thinking, you know what? It's Saturday, isn't it? Yeah, it's Saturday night. I'm going home and I'm going to go and relax. So yeah,
yes,
I'm going to go home and relax for the weekend, and I'm going to play some games and relax for the weekend.
Yes,
and
totally unrelated to anything other than you saying about playing games.
Yeah.
Have you do? Let's try that again. Have you got Xbox Game Pass currently?
Not at the moment, but I could have it. I
only because I have approximately been consumed by Minecraft Dungeons.
Really?
Yes.
Fair enough. I liked Minecraft Dungeons when it came out, but I got bored of it real quick.
I have thus far currently been consumed.
Fair enough. Do I want to get into it? Because I assume the direction you're going in with this is you basically want to be like, come and play Minecraft Dungeons with me. Is that the direction you're going with this?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. I'll think about it. Because I did like Minecraft Dungeons, and I didn't play a lot of multiplayer, but I don't know. I'll think about it. If I think sort of yeah, I actually fancy some of that, then I'll give you a poke and say let's do some Minecraft Dungeons.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah,
or anything else, basically.
Yeah, we shall see.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll see. Anyway, go home. You look bugged. Yeah.
Oh,
That's the end of that. Right. What kind of game do you play?
anyway,
Not
yes,
particularly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go. Otherwise, we're going to get into other things, and we're over time now. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, we're going to wrap up. Thank you for
Absolutely.
tuning in, everyone. We are going to head off because I'm tired and also my concentration is slipping. When you stream, when you're doing any kind of live stream, whether it's a talk show like this or a game stream, by the way, I'll be streaming Dark Souls 3 tomorrow on my Twitch channel, which I'm going to pimp again.
Absolutely.
Because it's my show and I can do what I want. Twitch.tv/Netherthem. Bam. Twitch.tv/Netherthem. I will be playing Dark Souls 3 PvP tomorrow at 7 UK. So yeah, what was I about to... Oh yes, when you're streaming anything, at a certain point you hit a brick wall and your concentration goes and you just stop thinking straight, and I very much hit that wall. So yes.
Yes.
Some people can go for hours without hitting that wall, but yeah, I don't know. I can game stream for 4 hours, but this show wears me out.
I don't know what you're saying about me, but I find it deeply insulting.
I don't know. Oh well. Anyway, we're going. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you all soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be on Twitch tomorrow at 7 PM. We'll be back next week as usual. There's the Discord invite link. So if you want to, as Caradog would say, you can continue the conversation over in the Discord.
Absolutely.
So yes, and
of course, if you felt that you wanted to do something that was entirely different, there is also a Patreon.
Oh yes, and that as well. Thank you very much.
Which, people can join, get access to special channels in the Discord, engage in further extra additional conversations.
Quite so. Right, I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to hit stop now because I'm frazzled. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'm going to say goodbye. Bye. Ending stream.
Find the
Goodbye.
Discord. Talk there. Continue the conversation.
Discord, Patreon,
Peace
Twitch. Bye. End stream. Oh, God damn it. You hit the end stream button and then it says, are you sure you want to end the stream? Now I hit end. End. Goodbye.